Have you all ever heard about subframing or foreground interest? No? Okay, do you know how a shadow or a symmetry can enhance the beauty of your captures? If not, you are in the right place today. Hey guys, this is Shomona again from Bichitro, and today's video is going to be all about compositional techniques in photography. Composition is such a powerful photographic technique which, if applied properly, can ace your photography no matter what kind and quality of camera you are using, be it a smartphone or a DSLR. There are no unbreakable rules when it comes to how you should compose your photos. But obviously there are some guidelines which you can actually follow to make your photo more appealing. In this tutorial, we have listed 10 of those guidelines along with examples of each. We have started with the most basic and easiest one, and we have ended this video with the more advanced compositional techniques. So, what is composition? When you are composing your photos, you are actually placing the most interesting or important elements of your frame in such a way so that it creates interest to the viewers. And only a good composition has the ability to give a two-dimensional image a three-dimensional feel. Besides learning the technical sides and mastering your hands on shutter speed, aperture and ISO, you should also learn how to arrange various elements within a frame while you are taking a picture to make it more appealing to the viewers. Imagine yourself to be the viewer and the camera is your eye. Now, if you're photographing a subject at eye level, then your viewers are going to do the same and will experience an idea of equality towards the subject. Now, if this same subject is photographed from down below, then it will give an idea of dominance to the viewers in relation to the subject. So, when you photograph the same subject from high above, it gives the viewers a feeling of superiority in relation to the subject. So different perspectives can tell a story differently of the same subject concerned. So we suggest you all to play with different viewpoints and perspectives to bring out some amazing shots. But also keep it in mind that the concept of viewpoint or perspective is not only applicable for shooting an object or portrait. You can also use it for composing landscapes, buildings, or anything and everything. A change of perspective always spices up the composition. The next compositional rule is the widely used one, the rule of thirds. As I've already described in the previous tutorial on the basics of smartphone photography, I guess the link is somewhere up here. This is actually a compositional technique that divides the complete frame into 9 equal parts using 2 sets of vertical and horizontal lines. You can get an amazing eye-grabbing image if you keep your point of interest along these lines or at the intersections of these 4 lines. The next compositional technique is leading lines. As the name suggests, leading lines are those imaginary lines that meet or converge at a point and directs the viewer's eyes directly onto the subject or point of interest of the image. But the real challenge while using this technique is that you won't get these lines that easily, and sometimes you may even get curved or slanted lines as well. But as a photographer, it is your job to visualize, have patience, and find out those lines out of which you can create those amazing shots. Now, let's get into negative space. Negative space is actually the area between and around the positive space of your image, where the positive space is the area that is occupied by the main subject of your image. This is a very good example of a composition with negative space in it. The area occupied by the bird and the branch that are in focus is the subject, which is the positive space. And the area around the positive space, the blurred out background, is the negative space. Try to keep the background free of any eye-grabbing objects, as it may distract the viewers from the main subject. You can clearly see with the negative space around, the subject is enjoying the complete attention in the image. This technique is generally used to highlight the point of interest of the frame. When framing your photo, adjust your composition until the negative and positive spaces feel well balanced against each other. And don't feel that you have to cram something interesting into every square inch of your image. Now it is turn to talk about centered composition. It is exactly what the name hints. You have to place your subject or point of interest exactly at the dead center of the frame to engage the viewer's eyes directly onto the subject. But as generally presumed, centering your subject is not always a bad idea. Rather, sometimes it is the best idea based on the kind of dramatic appeal that is needed in your frame. But you must also remember that while keeping your subject centered in your frame, you have to balance the right or the left and the top and bottom part of your frame equally. Symmetry is all around us and has always been associated with beauty. So why not use it? The line that splits a symmetrical object into two equal halves is called the line of symmetry. It is a very powerful compositional tool that lets you create harmony and a sense of aesthetically pleasing photograph. In this image, if you draw a straight line right through the middle of the book, you will notice it is making two equal halves of the image. And that is the beauty of a symmetrical composition. The best place to look for symmetry is in ancient ruins, skyscrapers, doors, windows, and any kind of architectural details. It is hard to find symmetry in nature, but you can also find it sometimes in trees, branches, rock formations, leaf patterns as well. Another place to look for symmetry is in calm water bodies. Reflections make classic images just because of their compositional balance. While we may be painting with light, an equally important part of photographic equation is just the light's opposite, the shadows. We often talk about good light, but in reality, there is no good light without good shade. When shooting, look at how the light and shadow are interacting with the scene and try to look for compositions to enhance the depth of the subject. As you can see, in this close-up portrait, the shadow is giving a good sense of depth to the image, whereas without it, though the exposure is well balanced, but the image lacks dimension. Try to expose to keep some details in the shadow because losing all the shadow details can remove the feeling of depth from the image. Subframing or frame within a frame is a very good way to add interest to the image by leading the viewer's eyes directly into the middle of the subframe and emphasizing the subject. Subframes can be of any shape and form as long as it frames and adds focus to the intended subject of the frame. According to rule of odds, images are more visually appealing when there is an odd number of subjects. For example, if you are going to place more than one subject in your image, don't use 2, rather use 3, 5, 7 and so on. But this is surely a very silly notion while shooting in an engagement or at a marriage or shooting for a family with only 2 kids. But you can always use this method while you are composing your photos on your own. Say while you are taking pictures of still life, foods, flowers, or people in a group and so on. Studies have shown that people are more at ease and comfort while they are viewing an image with an odd number of subjects. When photographing a subject from medium to far distance, it can often appear flat. Introducing an object in the foreground can add a sense of depth to the frame. This leads the viewer's eyes around the scene, from the object in the foreground to the subject at the far distance. For such composition, use your aperture to pinpoint your focus on the object in the foreground or the subject at the far distance. This is also a very good way to create artful images while also directing your viewer's gaze where to focus on. Any isolated object in the foreground can function for this purpose. Say a cluster of grass or an isolated rock or a person. Objects in the foreground creates weight and balances the complete image. Hopefully, these 10 guidelines are going to give you a good starting point. Very few elements in photography are as important as composition. If done right, it has the power to make your photo stand out from the crowd. This time we have briefly explained these compositional techniques with examples, but if you want any of these compositional techniques to be explained in details, then let us know in the comment section below. If you find our content to be helpful, then please give us a thumbs up and don't forget to share this video and subscribe to our channel. Thank you.